Enter live.
All right. Good morning, everybody. This is a meeting of the House Criminal Law Subcommittee. Just so folks are aware of the agenda, today we are going to vote on 2 bills, I hope, and talk about 1, and the remaining 3 bills we'll save for next time. If we have any time left over, maybe we'll touch on them. But the bills I hope we can vote on are House Bills 126 and House Bill 212. And the one we'll talk about is House Bill 117, which related to law enforcement officers and physical fitness requirements. So I'm going to try and move us through quickly and wrap before 11:40 because we have another subcommittee chairs meeting before our 1 o'clock bill hearing. So I would like to start with 126.
Move favorable.
Sorry?
Move favorable.
Okay.
You want to go fast, right?
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll at least, for the benefit of the public, explain what these bills are. House Bill 126 was from Delegate Pippi. We had this bill last year. It was voted out of Judiciary 21-0. It was voted out of the House floor 129-0. The Senate was slower than we are, so they passed it out of JPR 11-0. But it wasn't enough time to get the job done. And this is the bill that related to a hunting lodge and that incident, and clarifying that is in fact a crime, and it put a 5-year penalty on putting a camera in a place, including a private residence, aka hunting lodge. If you were to tape a minor, that would have up to a 5-year offense. So we passed that last year. As I said, I didn't see, let's see, is there any opposition? We had some individuals, but I don't think even OPD came in on this one. So, all right, well, we have one motion for a favorable on House Bill 126.
Second.
I think I heard Delegate Embry on the second, and it was Eric Hanna on the motion. Is there any further discussion before we vote? Okay, all in favor in House Bill 126, raise your hands. Are any opposed? And Delegate Young, are you able to join us on camera?
Yeah, I'm here, but I'm a yay.
Okay. All right. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Great. Okay. Well, that's fast. Let's move on to House Bill 212. This is another redo from last year. This one was about indecent exposure, both in terms of codifying the common law crime of indecent exposure into Maryland law, and then adding a penalty if you do it with prurient intent, I believe, in front of a minor older than 2 and with at least a 4-year age gap. This was 20-0, 129-0 on the floor, and again, another JPR snafu where they passed it 11-0, but with not enough time.
Move favorable, Mr. Vice Chair. Mr. Chair.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this bill?
It's a good bill.
I support the bill, but can I ask, was there any, there was a JPR hearing, were there any issues on the Senate side? I wasn't able to watch.
I don't recall. OPD did come in against this one, but I thought JPR moved it unanimous.
Okay.
There was a lot of stuff that year that they were just slower on.
Got it.
And there's fewer of them, so there's that.
Well, second.
Okay. All right, all in favor of House Bill 212, raise your hand. Anyone
Aye.
opposed? No one's opposed. Okay, great.
I'm in favor. I think I raised my hand at the wrong time, but I'm in favor.
No, you're good. You're good. Delegate Simmons, were you
No, my hand got stuck up there. I had to get it back down. Sorry.
we got you. You're good. Okay.
Rigor mortis.
And any no's, any abstentions? No. Great. All right. House Bill 212. We can get rid of. All right. We have House Bill 117. Chris, do we have someone from the chiefs and sheriffs here to join us for that discussion?
At the moment, I don't see anybody in the waiting room. They were invited.
Okay. Why don't we do this? Let me just quickly spin through a quick talk on some of the other bills, just so you know what we're dealing with. We have, I think, a relatively straightforward bill, House Bill 332 on body-worn cam procurement from Delegate Lewis. But I spoke to him on the floor today, and he expects to have amendments ready for our next meeting next week to take a look at. And the goal on that bill is just to create a more statewide approach to body cam contracts so that every small police department isn't on their own negotiating with the vendor. It's mostly the same vendors, so hopefully it can save some money. The ones that may require some discussion, however, we're going to have House Bill 226. This was the bill about expanding the definition of person in a position of authority for purposes of a fourth-degree sex offense, and it dealt with, I guess, camp counselors and things of that nature that somehow fall out of the scope. I didn't see any opposition listed on that bill, and the AG came in favorable with amendment with the request to add a clarification that the offenses don't merge so that they could be charged separately. But otherwise, I would think we can try, maybe take action on that, get some of the stakeholders at the next meeting. And then let's see what else we have.
So you're not ready for a motion on House Bill 226?
No, we didn't invite the right folks for that one for this meeting. And I'd like to have them here. And it looks like Farrah wants to pipe in.
I just wanted to say that I'm not saying I'm opposed to this concept of the bill at all, but I am concerned a bit about the language. It's a little loosey-goosey, and there are a few problems I see with it, and I would just like to take a stab at tightening it up a bit. And I can talk with you a little more about that offline.
That sounds great. Yep.
Delegate Moon, I just want to make sure that it's properly drafted and not overbroad and, subjecting it to being, struck down by a court or something because it's overbroad.
Got it. Okay, that sounds fine. Yeah, and I haven't had a chance to talk to the chair. If he had any thoughts or direction on that one either. I guess we can do that later this afternoon. Also, okay, well that sounds fine. So we won't do anything on that one today, but I guess expect a discussion on that. And then House Bill 287 from Delegate Fair. This one had to do with transfer of HIV as a crime and repeal. So that one also, I saw, I believe only individuals signed up in opposition. on that one, but the organizations signed up, we're all in favor, but we will be prepared for a discussion and possible action on that bill at our next meeting. Okay, so we can just start talking about House Bill 117, I guess, even if we don't have the chiefs and sheriffs with us on this. We had a very quick discussion about this with subcommittee chairs, but I just want to catch a whiff of where the committee or the subcommittee is at on this issue generally. And so by way of background, when we passed police reform, I guess it was a year or two ago, and this was the Speaker's bill, mind you, the House Speaker's bill, I believe, had a provision in it that added a physical agility assessment. And part of the rationale was that if you had that, well, law enforcement officers carry weapons and have the power to arrest. And if they are not physically fit and in a situation, the theory of the case was that they would be more inclined to use their weapon than were they fit and able to subdue someone, you know, with less lethal means. So that's how that provision came into law. We had a big debate about all this, and we voted it last year or two. And so Delegate Johnson came in with a bill seeking to exempt officers with at least 20 years of service from that requirement. So that was the bill. And I see Delegate Eric Hand has her hand up for discussion. Go ahead.
So I just don't recall there was any data that supported the theory that an officer who didn't have a svelte body would somehow be more dangerous to people. I would love to know if there's any actual data behind it, because it just sounds totally unreasonable, frankly.
And Delegate Kaufman.
Yes, I'm trying to, can you hear me?
Yes.
I haven't decided how to vote on it, Mr. Chair, but somewhat contrary to my good friend from 7B, I actually am not crazy about this bill, because I believe, and I believe that you have to be physically fit, and physical fitness is important for public safety, and that, there are just certain jobs you can't do if you have physical limitations, like having cerebral palsy. I can't be a bus driver. And when I asked the delegate this, he said that, oh, well, they'll probably be assigned to desk jobs. So, they can still work, which is a great accommodation, but maybe we could codify it, that they wouldn't be doing physical activity, because like I said, I gave an example in the hearing, and then I'm going to wrap up about, can you really chase bank robbers? And he said, if you're not physically fit, and he said, oh, well, they'll be doing desk work. I like the delegate a lot, but I do have some concerns about this bill. So if it ends up going forward, like Claire was saying earlier, maybe, it'd be tightened that, you can't be on the beat if, things like that. So I don't know, I'm not being very articulate, but hopefully you got what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and sorry, who just joined us by iPhone?
That is Russ Hamill from the city of Laurel. I'm taking Mark Blazinski's place, delegate.
Okay, wonderful. So are you, I guess, a representative of the chiefs and sheriffs today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So the bill, I don't know if how far you were briefed into it, but the bill as it came in basically is seeking to revisit the physical agility assessment put into law a year or two ago, and to create an exemption for, I guess, people with 20 years of service. And so we were just beginning to have a discussion on that, and we're hoping you can give us some background on this issue. And I just want to let me just first put, part of the reason I pointed out that this was in the speaker's bill and done very recently was just to suggest it was highly unlikely, to Delegate Arakan's question about whether data existed for the initial proposition. It is highly unlikely we'll just, turn around and say, oops, never mind. But I think there was a question about whether there ought to be something done for this narrow category of people with years of service who are, providing some service to the department, but maybe not in the same capacity as they did when they were 20 years ago on the beat. So I guess, Ken, what do the chiefs and sheriffs, I guess, have to say about the implementation of the physical agility assessment? Is this actually a concern? Are we seeing this materialize in negative ways yet?
Not yet, no, sir. So departments are in the initial phases of implementing the physical agility test as required by the law. So I anticipate, for instance, my department will be done by July 1 with the initial phase. And then it's going to take an adjustment to evaluate it and see, do we need to make some adjustments? We originally did look at implementing Cooper standards. I'm sure you guys have heard of that before. And with those,
please educate us.
Okay, so Cooper standards are the Cooper Institute created these standards for physical fitness, physical agility, but that uses a scaled approach that you have to reach different goals as you age. So, for instance, a 55-year-old officer does not have to be able to do what a 21-year-old officer does. But there are still standards that are applied, standards that have to be met. And I should say Cooper's not the only group that does it. That's the group that popped in my head. There are other groups. So I'm not saying people have to use Cooper. It's just, I'm not being a paid advertisement for Cooper is what I'm saying. But but there's standards that are applied, and as you age, the standards change. But you're still expected to maintain a level of physical fitness to be able to do requirements of the profession.
So, in other words, would it be, are you suggesting that we won't see, due to this requirement, a sudden termination or people at risk who are sort of been in the department for a long time?
I don't think so under the current standards, and I don't think that was the goal either. I think, we try to do this in a positive fashion. So, for instance, in my prior position in Montgomery County, we had do these physical agility tests throughout the year. We use those standards, and people earn administrative leave by doing it. So we try to put a positive turn on it rather than a you'll do this or you'll lose pay or you'll lose your position, something like that. We encourage healthy lifestyles. You look at the President's 21st Century Policing Report from President Obama about the criticality of health and wellness in policing, not just mental health, but physical health as well. And that's what we try to support.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Hamill while we have him here?
I don't. I have some, if you don't mind.
All right, we'll go Delegate Simmons and then Grammer.
Just as we're talking about officer health and capabilities, what is your thoughts on the fact that with a growing population of senior officers that may be rotated from the field to desk duty or other duties, will that affect their health pertaining to weight and health related issues, and concerning how do we address that?
Well, a couple different things with that. I can speak for the two departments I've been on. We don't do that. Your age doesn't lead to a rotation to desk duties. You're expected to be able to do the duties as assigned. Now, look, some people end up as detectives and other positions as they gain seniority on the police department, of course. But detectives are expected, and other positions, again, duties, they have to be able to perform the duties. And again, I think by putting a positive to this rather than a negative, when I was the lead sergeant at the training academy many years ago, I came to the conclusion if we work people in the physical fitness area of training to the point where they end up hating it, then they're going to shut down when they leave. They're not going to want to do it. What we want to do is encourage this positive behavior of them eating correctly, of them working out and joining a gym or running and the like, especially as they age. But, I had, at one point in my career as a commander, I had an 84-year-old deputy commander who would lead the torch run every year, would go out and run during the week. And they were modeling the proper behavior in my mind.
Mr. Chair, can I just do a follow-up?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Do you find that most police departments have a gym or something that will allow for officers to maintain a level of physical fitness?
I've seen police departments handle this in two different ways. One is the way you just mentioned. There's a gym in the facility. I have a gym in my facility now. There's Montgomery County Police Headquarters, where I came from, a large gym in their facility, gyms at their district stations. I do know of some departments that may not have space for the gym, so they work out the option or the ability to join a local gym at a discounted rate, or the department helps pay for the membership at a local gym to encourage them to work out. But I think having it on site, delegate, as you just said, that makes it a lot easier. I think that's key.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate your service, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Delegate Grammer.
Yeah, just a general comment. So if they're trying to implement these new rules, which they're likely doing all over the state, it seems a little premature to try and put protections in place for a problem that's not necessarily there right now. So I'm not sure we need the principle of the bill. So maybe we want to consider making it a report, and all the local jurisdictions can give us feedback about their, what kind of needs they have, what kind of rules they have in place, what kind of facilities they have for, fitness training. And I will say, in Baltimore County anyway, there's a deficit of kind of training, exercise facilities that's really a detriment to hiring. So I don't know if the subcommittee's opening to it. I don't know whether passing this bill as it's drafted is really necessary right now. And if all the jurisdictions are trying to implement programs, I don't know if that's the best thing. Maybe we could consider, turning it into a reporting bill where we just get all the information from the jurisdiction, see where they're at, and then look at this again next year. Just an idea.
Delegate Kaufman, are you sure your hand up?
No, it is not. I was just doing a thumbs.
Got it.
Just
Yeah.
doing a
Okay.
thumbs up to Delegate Grammer.
Got it. Okay. Well, this Delegate Erickson.
Yeah, so I guess my only concern with waiting is that these are people's lives and jobs. So if we do wait until there's already a problem, people could have been terminated. Are we going to then go back and say, I'm sorry, we fired you, we changed the law, now let's try to hire people back? I mean, normally I like the wait and see approach, but we have such a hard time recruiting officers right now. If we all of a sudden start losing people because they can't pass this fitness test, it's only going to put even more pressure on departments that are struggling to recruit people. So I'm not sure waiting is going to be the best move, just because we don't want to lose people.
Just very briefly, Mr. Chair. Is it okay if I go?
Go ahead.
Just very briefly, I share Delegate Erickson's concern, at least in part. So my question is, Mr. Hamill still here? Yes, he is. Do you know how many people across the state, how many officers have been terminated as a result of being unable to meet this standard?
I wouldn't know that, sir, but I can say I haven't heard of that.
Can you get back? Oh, good. That's good to hear. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I can ask the executive director of our associations to put out a questionnaire.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, once you get that data, could you share it with the subcommittee, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, well, if that's it for questions, thank you, Mr. Hamill. I certainly
you.
learned a lot. That was very helpful, very informative. Thank you.
Delegate Moon, thank you very much, and we appreciate being asked about this. I do apologize. We had an incident that I had to jump on for Mr. Blazinski, who is much more knowledgeable than I am. But if I may offer one thing in response to one of the delegates' questions, we talk about modeling the right behavior and encouraging this. And Delegate Moon, I think you know this because you've been in Montgomery County Police Headquarters. There's a great gym downstairs, but we always kid when I was there that thank gosh we're with the fire department because they had the resources to help build that out.
Right.
If there's a way to maybe provide some funding, and I know everybody comes to y'all for funding. I did not intend that when I came in here, but just put in the back of your minds maybe some sort of funding for some agencies that are having trouble doing something like this. That's I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Have a great day.
All right, I guess that's it. While we're here, can we just plan to meet again at the same time next week? Does that work for everybody?
Next Thursday, 11 o'clock, Mr. Chair.
Yep. 11 o'clock or immediately after floor, whichever comes first.
Delegate Moon, just FYI for the record, I'll be on a leave for approximately a month, so I will not be in attendance for next week meeting.
Okay, duly noted.
I just want to make sure I understand. So, Delegate Moon, if we go on a long debate and the debate doesn't end until 11:30 on the floor, we should all leave the debate, come back here at 11 o'clock, because you said after the floor or at 11 o'clock, whichever is first.
Okay, Joker. I'll see you next week.